Seems to be the style of government these days.
But actually, Mick, there's one other thing I'd like to mention. And there's a provision of the Patriot Act that hasn't gotten any real discussion here tonight, and that is the new terminology of protesters and dissenters being called disruptors. And that the law enforcement agencies, whether it be the FBI or a local sheriff or a local police, are authorized to arrest disruptors before they have disrupted anything based on the potential to disrupt. And I don't know where they come up with the background to understand the potential to disrupt, but it's something I think the American Civil Liberties Union has protested vigorously and has spoken out about. But to say that anyone who dissents must be kept away from the media, kept away at a free speech zone that's behind a barricade and behind barbed wire and often miles away from the main event, that impinges on the true freedom of the press and freedom of the speech. And it is something else that's buried within this 100-page document that people don't realize they've lost, but that you can be hauled out of a town meeting for wearing the wrong T-shirt because you have the potential to be a disruptor. And I just don't think that's the American way.
Michael Owsley.
Thank you, Mick. And I want to tell you how proud I am to be a member of the Woody Creek Caucus and to know people like Dwight Shulman and John Van Ness and Kevin Doyle, and how proud it makes me, how emotional I get about it. It seems to me one thing that distinguishes America is its allegiance to ideas. That when we're citizens, we don't make an allegiance with the land, and we don't have a sovereign that we are subject to. We all share ideas embodied in the Constitution and embodied in the Bill of Rights that we share as Americans. And it's that confluence of Americans around that idea that distinguishes America from a lot of other countries, most countries. And that makes me proud, that this is a country of ideas and of allegiance to those ideas. And it's important for us to reaffirm that allegiance to ideas, the ideas embodied in the Bill of Rights and the ideas embodied in the U.S. Constitution and in the Colorado Constitution. That means any ethnicity, any religion, anyone can share those ideas, any one of us. And it's a wonderful sharing that we all have together. And I'm proud to be part of that sharing. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
Well, first of all, I think Kevin, when he mentioned that there have been some elected officials up here who had issues of their own, for those of you who don't know, I was involved in an issue with the Environmental Protection Agency. It began in 1987, 88, and I think we were finally delisted from the Superfund site list in 1999. As part of that, and I remember receiving a call and talking with Sheriff Broadus at that time, we had the President of the United States and Margaret Thatcher coming to town, and the newspaper called me and said, well, we heard you're doing a demonstration when they were here. And I said, well, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm not doing that. Next day in the paper, front page, full page article, was a big picture of me. I was the one organizing a demonstration when the first President Bush was in town. After that time, I was investigated, and because I was one of those disturbers. And it went on to the point where we believed that the house was being watched. I had some episodes with my children being watched, coming and going from the house. We were never sure who it was, but then the minute we left the house, I would get phone calls on my answering machine. It was very disturbing. Here I was trying to do something protecting my children, my neighborhood, my community from a good federal agency, and was being questioned about my dissent. So that was how I got involved in government, and now I'm on this side of the table. Last night I spent some time reading actually a document that was the 12 original articles that amended the U.S. Constitution. It was signed on March 4th of 1789. The basis of this was to prevent unconstitutional or abusive powers and extending the ground of public confidence in the government. And my fear now with the Patriot Act and with what's going on in this country now is we're just undermining our support and our confidence in the government. And that affects every level of government, and that affects us sitting here on this board and in this room. And that's more than just a professional. It's a hugely personal issue for me, because I too want to have trust and support and confidence in my government at all levels. So that was a real key issue to me, and it was interesting in reading the 12 articles as they were first drafted, because the numbers don't actually align with the Bill of Rights and the amendments in the actual Bill of Rights. But I really believe too that what we need to do is to have signs at the entrance of Pitkin County when we adopt this resolution, showing that we are now one of those entities that supports the rights of the people of this country, and here in Pitkin County is safe. So I really appreciate bringing this forward. When I took the oath of office twice now, I stood on the courthouse steps, and I meant every word I said, and this just reaffirms that for me. Thank you.
Patty, is your theory that 10 is a better number? It's
I don't know, I kind of
commandments, fingers,
I don't know, it's cheaper by the dozen. I don't know.
12-step program. Yes. Now, John is not here to usurp the powers of the library board, but he is a member, and you wanted to make some comments on that, the activities of librarians. We don't usually think of it. We don't usually think of them at, dumping the tea in the harbor, but go ahead.
Well, we came pretty close to that. Besides being an elected official from the town of Snowmass Village, I've served on the Pitkin County Library Board for quite a few years. Kathy might be able to refresh my memory, but it's been a while. In that capacity, being on the Pitkin County Library Board, I've also been appointed to the State Library Board. It's known by different names. But I've been active on that. I'm in the last year of my last term. I'm term limited on that, and I have one more year to go. And one of the things that we do on the State Library Board is go to Washington, D.C. once a year en masse, representing the state of Colorado and every state in the nation, and approach our legislatures on issues facing libraries. When the Patriot Act was enacted shortly after 9/11, it came to the attention of our legislative committee for the American Library Association that there may be some issues with privacy as it applies to libraries. And one of the bastions of freedom of our nation is the ability to go into a library, read what you want to read, look up what you want to look up, without fear of somebody saying, well, why are you interested in Al-Qaeda? Why are you interested in Afghanistan? Why are you interested in these issues? And that became a very poignant discussion for us on the national level. And as a result of our lobbying efforts to congressmen across this nation, last year we almost were able to overturn the Patriot Act. It almost did not get reauthorized in December, and that was due to as a result of the activities of the librarians in our country. They put a hold on it in December. It almost went through. They had to form a conference committee where they came back with some changes to the Patriot Act, which still is nebulous in some of the definitions. I'm not going to go into details on those, but just to let you know that we are still very active in pursuing issues as the Patriot Act applies to the library. Section 215 is the key one. We're very concerned with the privacy of the people in our country to use our libraries and use the resources that we provide to them. There is an act in front of Congress right now called the SAFE Act, which is this Security and Freedom Enhancement Act. And this act is currently working its way through, and Ken Salazar, a senator from Colorado, is actually one of the sponsors of the bill. And this is very, very important. It is not designed to overturn the Patriot Act. It is designed to create oversight of the Patriot Act. And that's what we're asking for, is that, okay, you have these powers now. Let's go and round up the bad guys, but please report it to someone to oversight it. And that's the reason why we have three branches of government. We have the executive, judicial, and the legislative. And the whole idea is a check and balance. And right now, the provisions under the roving John Doe wiretap provisions of the Patriot Act takes away the judicial oversight of the powers of the executive branch. So without going into excruciating detail on that, we're very proud of being able to bring this act forward and hopefully bring some sensibility back to the freedoms that we are expected to have under the Bill of Rights. So as we go forward, I would like to ask the people in Pitkin County and Aspen, Colorado, to contact our legislators and tell them that this is of utmost concern and that the SAFE Act goes forward to further define the powers of the executive as it applies to the Patriot Act.
Can I ask John a question?
You can.
John, would you be so kind as to bring this issue forward to your board in Snowmass? We'll give you a copy of the resolution as finalized. I would like to see if we're going to do this. I think we need to do it jointly with the, and we'll bring it to Basalt also, which is partly in Pitkin County, because I think it needs to be a united front.
Absolutely.
My name is Tori. I'm a member of the Aspen City Council. I want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for convening this meeting, and the Woody Creek Caucus, of course, for bringing this up. Oftentimes, Woody Creek is the conscience of Aspen, and I appreciate that for one, I tell you. I don't have too much to say tonight. I look forward to reaffirming the oath that I've taken in my office. I guess my reaction to this is I don't know where to start speaking to this issue. I feel like our rights are infringed upon by our federal government to such an extent right now that this is the tip of the iceberg and a first step, and a noble first step. But bless us all that we continue this work and take this and take it to our state level and take it to our federal level, because we are losing our rights daily. And I feel that. I think I feel it also for generations that are coming after myself. I'm 36 years old, and I feel I feel on the older side of it now. I fear for those. I fear for those that are younger than myself, and I think I guess as Patty's alluding to, she's looking at me saying, "Well, shut up, you're so young." But no, we need to instill this charge into not just my generation, but generations younger than mine. So I thank you all again for this position. I'm delightfully surprised at what's going on here this evening. I did not know what to expect, and I feel invigorated by it, and of course maddened as well, saddened as well. So thank you again. Thanks, Mick.
Okay, do we have further comment from anybody before we wrap this up and move toward a vote? Jack.
Yeah, I'd like to actually restate something that was alluded to earlier, because they haven't gotten as much recognition as I think they deserve. Our Colorado General Assembly, having passed this Colorado Senate Joint Resolution 05044, I mean, this is a substantial step in our state. And I have to say how pleased and appreciative I am of our legislators and our senators, or our representatives and senators, to have done this. It's kind of going out on a limb. I mean, when we think of what would have happened maybe a few years ago, or didn't, and we know what did not happen, which is this very thing, it's just amazing. And to Andrew and Joan Fitzgerald and everyone else in the State General Assembly, thank you very, very much for what you all have done. You have shown leadership in the form that, as an example, that other states certainly could do.
All right, we're going to go to a vote. I have a few comments, and then I will call the question. I want to start with Ben Franklin. I admire the quotes that were brought forward today, and I'm going to start out with a fictitious quote. But a quote that nonetheless is relevant, and if he didn't say it, he certainly should have. But Ben Franklin is alleged to have told a woman on the streets of Philadelphia after the government was formed that he was asked, what form of government are you giving us? And he is alleged to have said, a republic, if you can keep it. And that is where I differ with Kathy, although I respect her work. I don't feel that the courts are the ultimate protector of our rights. The citizens are the ultimate protector of our rights, and if we fail to avail ourselves of the tools of protest, of dissent, of free speech, even of civil disobedience, and of the ballot box, then we will relinquish our freedom. Because, again, to paraphrase FDR more accurately, we do have to fear fear itself, because fear is the only tool by which a government can pry people's liberties away from them. It's only in a state of fear, and Orwell goes into that at book length, it's only in a state of fear that people can be persuaded that they need to relinquish their unalienable rights. And we do so. The framers, the founding brothers, however you want to put it, were, if nothing else, astute students of history. They were not technicians who could define all the ways by which government could impinge on our liberties. They didn't forecast eavesdropping, wiretapping, lip reading, spy satellites. But they understood, and they understood clearly what W.C. Fields put so well later, and that is trust everybody but cut the cards. And that is the essence of check the balance. It's cutting the cards. And the sad lesson of history is that each generation appears to have to learn for itself that you have to cut the cards. And what we learned in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s is that the Frenchman was right. Power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts, or corrupts absolutely, whichever it is. And we learned that if you were a dissident student, a member of SDS, a protester in Denver, or Martin Luther King, that your private life would be leaked, disseminated, and used against you simply because it was available for those purposes. So today, I think it's good to remember that our chief executive, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, is correct when he says that freedom is on the march. But I think he's going to find out in November that it's not marching in the same direction that he's going, and that our best hope, democracy is the best hope for the world, and the best hope for democracy in the United States is our exercise of the rights under that. Our failure to exercise those rights yields to the government and to those who would take and fill the power vacuum, that absolute power which corrupts so absolutely. Therefore, I will call the question, all those in favor of the resolution as amended and proposed, moved by Patty Clapper, seconded by Hatfield Mousley, so signify by saying aye. Aye. There being none opposed, it passes unanimously, as amended, with direction to staff to make sure that this is distributed to the ranking member and the committee chairman. Patty.
As to the issue of the oath of office, I'm not sure how we can or should or want to go about that.
You know, I've been thinking about that as well, and I think that the way to do that is that we will, I will read the oath of office. We will raise our hands, and we will each say individually that I, Tori, I, Patty Clapper, so swear. And I think that would be better than the cacophony of all of us trying to read the oath individually, although I did give some consideration to having each of us take one word and go down the road.
We get confused.
But, so the oath is as follows. If we will all raise our right hand. May we join you? You may raise your hand, Dwight. Yeah, let's stand up, and I will read this as best I can. I'll read it twice if necessary, but okay. I hereby take and subscribe an oath and affirmation to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Colorado, and to faithfully perform the duties of office upon which I have entered. So sworn, Mick Ireland.
I, Tori, so swear.
John Wilkinson.
Patty Clapper?
Mike Lousley.
I, Rachel Richards, so swear.
Jack Hatfield swears to support the Constitution and Bill of Rights.
Bob Broadus.
Anyone else would like to so swear? State your name.
As citizens, we agree to exercise our rights as citizens.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would you like a motion to adjourn?
A motion would be entertained.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Clapper, second by Owsley. All those in favor of the motion, so signify by saying aye.
Aye. Mr.
Opposed,
Ireland?
none?
Mr. Ireland, did you check the clock?
It is 7:10.
I am very impressed.